Namaste children, welcome back again to this virtual class. So in today's episode we will be starting a new lesson, that is why do we fall ill. We have already learned in the chapter the fundamental unit of life that cell is the basic structural and functional unit of all living organisms, since when the cells combine, tissues are formed. When tissues combine, organ is formed, and when combines, organ systems are formed. When organ systems are combined all together, a living organism is formed, right? So whenever we talk about a living organism, the basic structural unit of the living organism is the cell. The cell is the basic functional unit of all living organisms, since all the life activities, all the metabolic activities required for the living organisms are taking place within the cell. So we call it as cell, a basic structural and functional unit of all living organisms. Now if anything goes wrong with the activities of the cell, then there may have some problem in the living organism. We call it as the health gets affected. So if we want to keep ourselves healthy, then the basic functions of the cells are to be maintained properly. So all the organs in our body are interrelated to one another, we can say. For example, blood is a tissue which is responsible for carrying oxygen from one part to another, and digested food molecules from the small intestine to various other parts of the body, and also it helps in eliminating the waste materials generated within the cell. The kidney is an organ which is responsible for filtering blood, thereby eliminates the waste material generated in our body. If the kidney stops working, then in that case what will happen? Kidney says, I have worked a lot, so I want 1 or 2 days leave. Then in that case what will happen? The blood will not get filtered. In such condition, waste materials get accumulated in our body. Under such situation, what will happen? Our brain will stop thinking. So abnormal way of working in our body that will take place, which ultimately affects the health of the living organism. So we can say that anything that prevents proper functioning of the cells and tissues will lead to a lack of proper activities of the body. So each and every organ in our body are interconnected to one another. Malfunctioning in any one of the organ or tissue affects the working of others. Let us discuss about the significance of health. Health is described as the state of complete physical, mental and social well-being. It is not merely about the physical. It is very well the 3 important domains, that is physical, mental and social well-being, is the health of a person. So being healthy means that one feels good physically, has a positive outlook and is able to cope up with the social and mental pressures without much difficulty. So only we call a healthy person should possess all these 3 qualities. Being healthy is far more than just being free from disease. Now here disease may be caused by any organisms, pathogens or environmental conditions. For maintaining healthy life cycle, a person needs to have a balanced and varied diet, needs to exercise and get enough sleep. Here balanced diet means the person must have some of the basic nutrients required for proper functioning of the cells and organs. You might have studied in the lower classes that the carbohydrate gives energy to the living organism. Fats and proteins are required for repair and maintenance of the cells, right? So all these quantities, all these nutrients are required in a balanced amount, and these nutrients are not obtained from a single food. They are obtained from variety of food. So the person needs to take balanced and variety of diet which contain or which fulfills all these nutrients. A disease indicates malfunction in the body. Malfunction means our body parts or tissues may not work properly or give its best due to some of the reason. For example, the person may not have enough balanced diet, or the person may not have sufficient sleep. Due to one or other reasons, some of the body parts or tissues get affected, due to which the organ may not perform its task efficiently. Such a condition we call it as malfunction. A doctor is able to diagnose disease by identifying the symptoms. Now, what is the symptom? Symptoms of a disease may be physical, mental, or both. Based on the symptoms of a disease affected by the person, the doctor can able to give medication for the patients. So, this is what the symptoms and the disease. So, when we talk about health, it has got three important dimensions. They are physical, mental, and social, right? If all these dimensions of a person is good enough, then we can say that the person is healthy. Now, our health is affected not only by unbalanced diet but also by disease causing microorganisms, which may be waterborne, which may be airborne, or which may be foodborne. Dear students, we are living in a society, so social environment plays a very important role in our health. Suppose we are in a city, village, or town. So, in such a situation, the physical environment is decided by the social environment. Here, the society plays a very important role. Imagine a situation that no one is there to clean the garbage, or no agency is there in the society to clean the garbage or to clean the drainage. Now, in such situation, what will happen? The garbages get accumulated on a particular place, or the stagnated wastewater you could see in here and there, and the waste materials are littered here and there. As a result of this, the cleanliness of the environment is affected very well. So, there the physical environment, cleanliness of the physical environment is very well affected by the social environment. So, society plays a very important role in keeping the environment clean. If the environment is clean, then the spreading of infectious disease will get lower or reduced. What are the difference between healthy and disease free? Here, healthy means it is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, whereas disease free means it is a state of absence of discomfort in any part of our body. Secondly, when we talk about the healthy, it depends upon the individual as well as on physical and social factors, right? This is what we have discussed. Whereas disease free means it is related to or restricted to a particular individual only, right? Now, thirdly, a healthy person will be disease free, absolutely, because we are seeing the three important dimensions. They are physical, mental, and social. If all these dimensions are good enough, then we call it as a healthy person, right? So, healthy person will be free from disease, whereas a disease free person can be healthy or unhealthy, because here disease free means free from a particular infections or infectious disease. Let us now discuss about conditions essential for good health. Dear students, the first step is to ensure sanitization. Here, sanitization plays a very important role. Now we are prevailing with a pathetic situation of the novel coronavirus, right? So, COVID-19, in order to make ourselves safe, regular sanitization is very mandatory for any disease. In order to keep ourselves healthy, the first most important thing what we need to do is we have to follow the sanitization. Clean surrounding by providing good sewage and rainwater disposal systems and proper garbage disposals. So, these are some of the factors which is used for keeping the environment clean. So, the first and foremost thing to keep a good health is to keep our surroundings clean and hygienic. The second important factor or conditions essential for good health is availability of clean drinking water. Now, for most of the diseases spread through water, most of the diseases are waterborne. In order to keep away or in order to prevent from such diseases spread from the drinking water, we have to keep or make the water clean. So, availability of clean drinking water in homes as well as in the schools is also very important. The next condition will be availability of adequate nutritious food. Now, some of the diseases are due to the malnutrition, we call due to the lack of proteins, vitamins and other macronutrients which are very much essential for an individual. So, we have to provide adequate nutritious food so that the nutrients are available to the person in right amount. The fourth essential condition for good health is social equality and harmony. Here society plays a very important role in upkeeping the health. So social equality in the society should be maintained. Here in society there should be ensured that the proper agency for cleaning the drains, collecting the garbage and proper disposal of these garbages are to be ensured, so that the risk of spreading infectious disease could be reduced. So these are the four important conditions essential for good health. So human health gets affected due to physiological malfunctioning, psychological reasons, or pathogenic organisms or pathogens we call. The term disease means dis-ease or without ease, or simply we can say that discomfort. If we are unable to do our day-to-day activities with ease, we call it as disease. And disease can also be defined as an impairment or malfunctioning of the normal state of the living organisms that disturbs the performance of the vital functions. Disease may be a response to the following conditions. They may be environmental factors such as malnutrition, lack of proper nutrition may lead to disease. Industrial hazards, the industrial effluents released into the atmosphere, which may ultimately cause the living organisms, right? So industrial hazards or natural climate such as earthquake, flood. So these could be the environmental factors which causes disease. Now secondly, the most importantly, the specific infectious agents, for example worms, protozoans, fungi, bacteria, viruses, these are the disease causing microorganisms which are specific in causing a particular type of disease. So specific infectious agents may be a cause of disease. The next one is the genetic anomalies. Some of the disease may be carried from mother to child. So genetically, one generation to another generation, the disease may be transmitted. Such type of disease we call it as genetic anomalies or genetic disorders. Combination of all of the above factors what we have discussed, that is environmental factors, it is a combination. It could be the combination of environmental factors such as malnutrition, industrial hazards, specific infectious agents such as worms, protozoans, bacteria, viruses, etc. Or this way we can understand the disease and their causes. Based on the severity, duration and symptoms, the diseases could be classified into two categories. They are acute disease and another one is chronic disease. Let us see what is an acute disease. Acute disease are those diseases whose symptoms are quickly visible in the body and duration of effect in the host body will not be much longer time or larger time. For quick period it comes, or for a short period of time the effect of the disease will be on the living organism. Such a defect, such a disease is called acute disease. For example, common cold is there, fever is there, viral fever is there. These are the examples of acute disease. Now let us see what is chronic disease. Now chronic disease, these type of disease are long term with the symptoms lasting for months or years. For example, tuberculosis, TB, cancer, diabetes, all these are the diseases which will remain for which last for months or several years also, right? So such type of diseases whose effects are long term, whose symptoms are long term, and such type of disease affects drastically adverse effect to the organs of the living organisms. Next type of disease is acquired disease. Acquired disease means that disease which get developed after the birth, soon after the birth or after the birth we can say. And this acquired disease can be broadly classified into two categories. One is infectious disease or communicable disease, and other classification is non-infectious or non-communicable disease. Now when we talk about infectious disease, these diseases are caused by some microbial agents or biological agents we can say, or pathogens such as viruses, bacteria, protozoa, helminthes, nematodes and fungi. Infectious diseases can rapidly spread from one person to other by various means such as physical contact, water, air, food, vectors and so on. Non-infectious diseases are restricted only to those persons who are suffering from them. These are not spread from infected person to healthy person. Example, deficiency disease is there, goiter and other mineral deficiency or some nutrient deficiency. Such diseases will not spread from infected person to a healthy person. Uncontrolled growth of tissues in any part, we call it as cancer. Cancer will not spread from an infected person to a healthy person. Defects in the metabolic reactions in our body, various metabolic reactions are taking place. Any defect in the metabolic reactions or metabolic activities in the living organisms will not get transferred to a healthy person. Injury and damage to any parts of the body due to accidents will not spread from an infected person to a healthy person. Such diseases are called non-infectious or non-communicable diseases. So, infectious diseases are those diseases which are caused by infectious agents or infection agents. Let us see some of the infection agents. The most common and popularly we are now hailing with the pathetic situation of COVID-19, right? The main cause of COVID-19 is virus. So, virus is one of the infection agent. Due to the infection of virus, we may get common cold, influenza, dengue, AIDS. These are some of the familiar examples or examples of diseases caused by virus. Apart from virus, bacteria also plays a very important role which contributes towards some diseases. For example, typhoid fever is there, cholera is there, TB, that is tuberculosis, anthrax. All these are some of the examples of diseases caused by bacteria. Then fungi, the skin infections, some irritations or itching of the skin you may be familiar with, right? So, the skin diseases are mostly caused by the fungal infection. And protozoa, you are much familiar with the malaria. So, malaria is caused by the protozoa, one of the class of microorganism, we call it as protozoa. So, malaria is caused by protozoa, and Kala Azar is another disease which is caused by the protozoa. Then worms, due to these are the multicellular organisms what we have talked before, where all the unicellular organisms which cause diseases. Now we talk about multicellular organisms such as helminthes and nematodes are the multicellular organisms we classify under worms which live in our intestine. We call it as intestinal worms. In your school also, albendazole tablets after every 6 months you used to consume, right? This albendazole tablet is given to kill the intestinal worms, especially helminthes and nematodes, roundworm we call, right? So these are the infection agents which causes infection or infectious diseases in living organisms or particularly in human beings. So let us understand the various means by which the infectious disease spread from one person to another. Dear students, common cold, pneumonia are some of the diseases which are spread by means of air, and such type of disease normally occurs when an infected person coughs or sneezes. There are tiny droplets coming out of the mouth or the nose comes in contact with the healthy person. When the healthy person comes in contact with such tiny droplets of the sneezes or the coughs by an infected person, then the healthy person may acquire the disease, because the tiny droplets may have the infectious agents what we were discussing before. Through the agents, the healthy person may also get infected. So this way a healthy person may get infected by means of air. Such diseases which are caused or which spread by means of air, we call it as airborne disease. Example, pneumonia, common cold, viral fever is there, tuberculosis, all are some of the examples of the diseases spread by means of air. Secondly, waterborne diseases. Cholera is one of the most familiar example of cholera. Now the stool of the human beings and the animals, when discharged into the water, they may carry the cholera causing bacteria. So cholera is caused by bacteria. When the uncleaned water is consumed by a healthy person, the stool of the animals may contain the disease causing, cholera causing microorganisms. When the healthy person takes this water, there are chances that the healthy person may get infected by cholera. So this way, from uncleaned water, the cholera causing microorganisms may enter to a healthy person and can infect them. Apart from air and water, by sexual contact also some of the diseases get transmitted or spread. Syphilis, AIDS are some of the diseases which spread by means of sexual contact. However, such diseases may not spread by means of casual contact such as a handshaking or a hugging. Let us now discuss about what is Borne diseases. Here, the articles which are contact with the infected person may act as a source of transmission of the microorganisms. Now we are very much familiar with COVID-19, right? So it is the cause of COVID-19 is coronavirus. Here the coronavirus, the COVID-19 is a Borne disease. Suppose if you are infected with coronavirus, if you touch the handle, tab or any other objects, the virus may get transmitted into the object. We call it as a ferment. If some other person comes and contact with the object, it may be currency, it may be tab, it may be handle of a door, then the healthy person may also get affected by the coronavirus. The objects which are in contact, which may transmit the diseases, we call it as ferment. Here in this case, it may be wallet, it may be tab, it may be currency, it may be your clothes, it may be your coat. So these are called Borne diseases. Dear students, many animals which live with us may carry diseases, and these organisms can transfer infecting agents or infecting microbes from a sick person to a healthy person. So we can say that these animals act as intermediaries or vectors, we call. For example, malaria is one of the familiar example. We know that malaria is caused by a protozoa called Plasmodium. Now Plasmodium is a protozoa responsible for malaria. Here Anopheles female mosquito is responsible for transmitting malaria causing protozoa, that is Plasmodium, from sick person to a healthy person. So here mosquito acts as a vector. So likewise various vector borne diseases are exist in and around us. Housefly is also another example of the vector. Dear students, our body is quite large as compared to any type of microorganisms or microbes which can enter into our body. So the microbes have large area to enter. So there are many possible areas within our body where microbes can reside. Different species of microbes appear to have evolved to move to different parts of the body. If the microbes enter from the air via the nose, they are likely to go to the lungs. This happens in case of bacteria which cause tuberculosis of lungs. If the microbes enter through the mouth, they can stay in the lining of the gut, as do typhoid causing bacteria. These microbes can also go to the liver like the virus that cause jaundice. However, this pattern is not followed by all microbes. For example, HIV, human immunovirus, can enter into a human body and it affects the white blood cells or immune system. It affects the immune system. Entry point is different and it takes control over entire immune system. Likewise, malaria causing protozoan firstly enter into human body by means of mosquito bite, then it reaches to the liver. From the liver it goes to RBC, that is red blood cells, and it affects the blood. Symptoms are evidences that point to the presence of diseases. They are visible in the form of structural and functional changes in the body or body parts. They indicate that there is something wrong in the body. On the basis of the symptoms, the physician could able to find the signs or the clue for a particular disease, and some sort of laboratory tests may also be conducted to pinpoint the exact cause of the disease. Let us talk about principle of treatment. There are two ways by which an infectious disease can be treated. The first way is to reduce the effect of the disease. The second one is to kill the infection agent. So by using these two ways, we can give treatment to a particular infectious disease. In order to adopt the first method, we have to give medication to reduce the effect of the infection. The local effect of the disease may be inflammation, it may be pain, it may be fever. So firstly, we have to reduce the effect so that we will get some sort of relief from the pain and inflammation. But the adopting first method will not make the infectious agent to go away from the body. We have to, in order to get rid of the disease, we have to adopt the second method, that is, we have to kill the microbe. Then the question is, how can we kill the microbe? Pathogenic microbes can be killed by two common methods. One way is to use medicines that kill microbes. In fact, we have to choose a drug which may work only on the parasites or the pathogens. So here choosing medicine is one of the important thing, because the medicine so chosen should be such that it can affect only on the parasite or the microbes. It should not affect the host cell or the host organism. So in this way we can kill the microorganisms. And in the previous section we have seen that the microbes are classified into different categories. It may be bacteria, it may be virus, protozoa, worms and other things. The antibiotics work well on the bacteria, but the life cycle of the virus, if you see, they are totally different from the other categories. So choosing the right kind of medicine is very important. So we should know the biochemical pathway of each group of microorganisms. We know that viruses won't get affected by antibiotics, so antibiotics will not work on the viruses. For example, our cells may make new substances by a mechanism different from that used by pathogenic bacteria. We have to find a drug that blocks the bacterial synthetic pathways but does not affect our own cellular pathways. This is what is achieved by antibiotics. Similarly, drugs are available to kill protozoa such as malarial parasites. So we know that prevention is better than cure. This is because once a person gets infected by any disease, it takes time to recover completely, and also when we take medicines, then it can cause some adverse side effects to our body. So what are the preventive measures that has to be taken to keep ourselves healthy or disease free? To avoid exposure to airborne microbes, adopt living conditions that are not overcrowded. Secondly, to prevent exposure to waterborne microbes, safe drinking water should be provided. Thirdly, to avoid vector-borne infections, we can provide clean environment as it would not allow mosquito breeding. Second way by which we can prevent some infectious disease is,
if someone is suffering from a cold and cough in the class, it is likely that the children sitting around will be exposed to the infection, but not all of them will catch the infection. This may be due to a strong immune system. In India, to improve immune system, various immunization programs have been conducted time to time. Children usually escape cold and cough infection because their immune system is strong. At this point, what happens? White blood cells are recruited to fight against the microbes. These cells become active every time disease causing microbes enter the body. So one way of looking at severe infectious disease is that it represents a failure of the immune system. The functioning of the immune system, like any other system in the body, will not be good enough if proper and sufficient nourishment and food is not available. Therefore, second basic principle of prevention of infectious disease is the availability of proper and sufficient food for everyone. When the immune system first encounters an infectious microbe, it responds against it and then remembers it specifically. So the next time the particular microbe or its close relatives enter the body, the immune system responds with greater vigor. This eliminates the infection even more quickly than the first occurrence of the disease. This is the basis of the principle of immunization. In this way, we fool the immune system into developing a memory of a particular infection by injecting something that mimics the microbe we want it to vaccinate against into the body. This does not cause the disease but helps prevent any subsequent exposure to the infecting microbe from turning into an actual disease. At present, there are vaccines available against tetanus, diphtheria, whooping cough, measles, polio, hepatitis, cholera, tuberculosis, etc.